Hello everyone, and welcome to my GH Soap Opera Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
General Hospital spoilers. After Michael asks Wiley about special medicine, Willow drugs Drew, and Wiley finds out. According to General Hospital spoilers, if Wiley Corinthos decides to pay a visit to Drew Kane's residence, he may reveal yet another secret. As a result of Willow Kane's custody agreement with Michael Corinthos, the children will spend more time at her residence. Because Wiley is a naturally inquisitive child, he may find his way into Drew's room at any moment. Drew is unable to move his lips or any of his other muscles save his eyelids, but this is not due to a stroke. The fact that Willow is drugging Drew to maintain his locked-in condition will eventually be discovered. Drew tried to talk with Alexis Davis, but it was an enormous flop as she just felt she was disturbing him. But if Wiley happens to overhear Willow injecting Drew with a drug to render him unconscious, she could be forced to answer some awkward questions. If Wiley asks what Willow's doing, she could explain she's giving Drew his special medicine and that he can't miss a dose. When it concerns the grown-ups in his life, Wiley clearly retains every detail he encounters. The fact that Wiley informed Rick Lansing about Harrison Chase stealing Michael's keys means that his actions have just backfired. Willow might soon be in hot water owing to Wiley's curiosity and tendency for blabbing about what he's observed. Michael would definitely want to keep tabs on how things are going now that Wiley and Amelia Corinthos are spending time with Willow again. GH teasers predict Michael will grill Wiley about his visits and ask if there's anything he wants to talk about. Wiley may bring up the fact that it was strange to see Drew in such a state before discussing how Mommy gave him his medication. The gears might start spinning for Michael and lead him doubting what precisely Willow is offering Drew. Wouldn't it be quite a twist if Michael was the one to investigate and free Drew from this dreadful predicament? Michael loathes Drew with a burning passion, but Drew is still a human person who needs significant treatment. Scout Quartermain doesn't deserve to have her papa locked in this way either. Plus, Michael could regard this predicament as a means to depriving Willow of custody rights forever and placing her in prison. Willow got away with shooting Drew, but she may not get away with producing this false stroke and drugging Drew into paralysis. General Hospital spoilers suggest Willow's web of deceit will trip her up and lead to devastating news someday, so stay tuned. General Hospital spoilers. Cullum threatens Jason in fierce face-off, Brit's secret boyfriend in danger. General Hospital spoilers predict that Ross Cullum will feel it's time to have a chat with Jason Morgan. Cullum will supposedly seek Jason out so he can put him through a grilling session, so some stressful moments are on the way. In the February 24th episode, Cullum will corner Jason and demand for some answers. Jason will meet face-to-face with the man who's been threatening Brit Westbourne and who ordered the attacks on Sonny Corinthos, so he'll undoubtedly be upset. However, Jason would have to be careful as Brit wasn't intended to share all those filthy Cullum-related secrets. In reality, this talk may be Cullum's way of testing Jason and discovering out just how much he knows. Cullum may announce himself as the director of the WSB's European section and put Jason through an interrogation. It's easy to see Cullum questioning about Jason's experience at the Five Poppies Resort and quizzing him about his present connection to Brit. Jason may pretend that whatever he had with Brit is ended and say it was never that serious to begin with. Regardless, Jason will probably keep his replies generic and short, which shouldn't be too hard considering Jason isn't exactly a chatty Cathy anyhow. Of course, it's conceivable Cullum may take a more direct approach, especially if he's aware of Jason and Brit's excursions to the harbormaster's cabin. Cullum may be watching Brit and Jason's actions, so that's vital to bear in mind. There's a chance Cullum may reveal he knows Brit's been fooling around with Jason. Cullum would imply that if Brit has divulged any classified information, then Jason would be best to disregard it and back off. Since Cullum's threats didn't set in for Brit, he may try them on Jason next and strive to scare him. Cullum could advise Jason to keep away from Brit and mind his own business or else there'll be repercussions. Jason and Brit's lives are already at jeopardy, but Cullum may take things a step further if he threatens Danny Morgan too. Cullum should at least remind Jason that Danny only has one left father and imply it'd be a tragedy for him to lose his dad next. Whatever the case, General Hospital spoilers suggest Cullum and Jason have some major moments coming up, so stay tuned for any news ahead. General Hospital spoilers. Alexis realizes Drew's rapid blinking is Morse code SOS? General Hospital spoilers reveal that Drew Kane was definitely trying to convey a message to Alexis Davis during the Thursday, February 19th episode via some fast eye blinking. Was he using Morse code? GH fans know the Navy SEAL was taught extensively to get out of situations, much like this one, so let's speak about it. Alexis wanted to visit Drew on Thursday's episode to judge whether Drew's state was acceptable enough for Scout Quartermain to tolerate. Scout certainly wants to see her dad, nevertheless, the young child has been through a lot. After all, she's already lost her mother, Sam McCall, so the lawyer questioned if meeting her father would force Scout to spiral. Willow revealed to Alexis, before she left the room, that Drew's sole method of communication was blinking. One blink indicated yes, two meant no. As Alexis was chatting to Drew, she observed him feverishly blinking at her. She was really frightened out, and she asked him if he was trying to transmit some type of message. Alexis and Drew aren't on the greatest of terms, and since she isn't fully aware of his condition, she fled in a rush, thoroughly scared out by the circumstance. It's amazing that someone as brilliant as Alexis wouldn't figure out that Drew was, in fact, attempting to inform her he was in danger. Alexis knows that Willow was the one who shot him twice in the back, but she doesn't realize that Drew's wife is the reason he's in this situation. With that stated, would Alexis put two and two together to discover that Drew was attempting a sort of communication, using Morse code? As a trained Navy SEAL, he's well versed in this, and since the Morse code follows the rhythm of blinking, he may be sending out SOS, so to speak. Alexis mistakenly notified Willow about the event, so Drew's wife is now on high alert, but it doesn't imply that this is the last occasion for Drew to do this. It also doesn't imply that the issue of Morse code won't come up or be brought to Alexis's attention. Maybe he and Scout have played a Morse code game in the past, and if his daughter brings this up to her grandma, the lawyer might finally have a light bulb moment. Alexis may possibly have a meeting with Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson, where Drew's in turn talks about his suspicion that Willow had something to do with Drew's stroke. Either way, General Hospital spoilers might be pointing toward an ironic turn of events, where Alexis is the one to save Drew in the end, despite his awful deeds against her in the past. Rick's big news: Wiley rejects Willow's home, Michael explodes. On the GH, harsh questions, a child's honesty, and a violent fight send shockwaves around Port Charles. Nathan West has questions for Maxie Jones. Plus, Wiley Corinthos doesn't like being at Drew Kane's and his mom's house, and Rick Lansing has news for Alexis Davis. Key points: Nathan West confronts Maxie Jones about what his return means for their relationship, forcing her to clarify where her heart truly lies. Damian Spinelli admits to Lulu Spencer that he won't fight for Maxie, fearing he could lose her to the man she once believed was dead. Wiley Corinthos confesses he doesn't like staying at Drew Kane and Willow Tate Kane's house. Throwing Willow's custody plans into doubt, Rick Lansing brings critical information to Alexis Davis about the attempted murder case and the planted key tied to Michael. Justine Turner warns Dante Falconeri that another misstep could destroy the investigation. Michael Corinthos lashes out at Harrison Chase in a shocking brawl at the Quartermain mansion after learning the truth about the key. Nathan has questions for Maxie at their unexpected meeting near his grave. Nathan has questions for Maxie. Obviously, their relationship is being discussed. Even though Nathan has acknowledged he has emotions for Maxie's closest friend, he feels upset as he asks Maxie, "What does that mean for you and me?" It seems like Maxie may be telling him that she's moved on, and staying with Damian Spinelli, although they may just be talking legalities. After all, Nathan was presumed dead and buried in that grave which was previously unearthed and no corpse discovered in the casket. That would appear to suggest that technically, the two of them are still married. Spinelli doesn't want to fight in the meantime. A downcast Spinelli is chatting to Lulu Spencer, and he tells her that's not a fight he's willing to undertake. Spinelli has fretted that Maxie might abandon him for Nathan, referring to him as the love of her life. Lulu appears compassionate and anxious about Spinelli, even if she also has love for Nathan. Spinelli is definitely feeling defeated, as Maxie walked off to take a stroll, so he's scared that she's met up with Nathan. However, based on the talk they're having at the cemetery, it's probable he doesn't have so much to worry about. Nathan had been eager to give the marriage a try, but Dante Falconeri cautioned him he needs to want to. Obviously, so would Maxie. Wiley doesn't like it at Drew's. In the meantime, Wiley is in his pajamas at the house that his mother, Willow Kane, shares with Drew. Even though, presumably Willow is keeping Wiley and Amelia Corinthos from seeing Drew in that situation, Wiley still doesn't like it there. Perhaps he's still suffering from what Drew earlier told him that day about his father, Michael Corinthos, not actually wanting him. Of course that's not true, and Michael made sure his kid knew it once he found out. Willow's great ideas may not be going exactly as smoothly as she imagined. Joss lets it drop in the meanwhile. Jocelyn Jax is urged to drop something, possibly a plan or maybe the subject of a discussion she's in with someone. She appears just a touch annoyed as she informs the other person, continue it dropped. Jocelyn has been heavily involved in trying to search out the secret projects going on at Windmere, so she may be talking to Jack Brennan couldn't. Rick may very well be telling Alexis about the key to Drew's house, placed by Willow, but recovered by Harrison Chase and found by Wiley. The court hasn't convened, and it's really not time for what lawyers call discovery, but Rick's attempting to block it from getting to court to begin with. Might Alexis describe Drew seeming concerned and attempting to tell her something, namely, SOS in Morse code, which she didn't recognize? Or may she reveal about what she knows from Kai Taylor and Trina Robinson? Turner's unhappy as she talks to Dante in the meantime. Acting District Attorney Justine Turner's unhappy as she talks to Dante. She threatens him, if we make another wrong move, heads will roll. Dante assumed Michael was lying about the key to Drew's house being found on his keyring, and Rick told them that there was a witness to someone handling the keys. Rick didn't name Patrolman Harrison Chase, but there's a reason to suspect it was him. Chase was the one who recommended to Nathan that they needed to check whether Michael had a key to Drew's residence. So that's fairly apparent an indication without Wiley having to come into the station to testify, although he may tell his dad. Michael attacks Chase at the Quartermain mansion. Someone's clearly left Michael with the notion that Chase placed a key to Drew's on his keychain, since he hauls off and punches Chase off his feet at the Quartermain estate. Brooke Lynn Quartermain Chase yells out, attempting to persuade Michael to stop, but it's too late, he's put her husband down on the floor. This encounter clearly wasn't what anyone wanted for breakfast, even if it takes place in the Quartermain breakfast room. Chase, even though he only made a recommendation to Nathan, began the ball rolling for his own head to roll, not to mention setting up his former buddy and cousin-in-law. General Hospital comings and goings. Popular actor gets more airtime. A popular actor continues to gain more airtime on General Hospital. What's the latest comings and goings casting news at General Hospital? Find out if any of your favorite stars from yesteryear are headed back to the soap, if any newbies are aboard in contract, recurring, or day player roles, and if any of your favorite actors or actresses are quitting the ABC drama. Key takeaways: Bradford Anderson stays front and center as Spinelli in a triangle with Maxie and Nathan. Lynn Herring returns as Lucy with significant ramifications coming. Kathleen Gotti is back as Albrecht as Britt looks to her for support. Andrew Hawkes resurfaces as Ross Cullum and questions Jason. Nazneen Contractor returns as D.A. Turner while Wiley shares scenes with Willow. The week of February 23, 2026, Bradford Anderson continues to gain important screen time as Damian Spinelli, now that he's in a front-burner triangle with Kirsten Storm's Maxie and Ryan Pavy's Nathan. He shares emotional sequences opposite Alexa Havens's Lulu on Monday, February 23, and airs throughout the week. Anderson offered his opinion on the strong plot on an episode of That's Awesome. Lynn Herring returns as Lucy Coe. The powerful figure finds herself with some explaining to do on Friday, February 27. Kathleen Gotti is returned as Dr. Liesl Albrecht. Look for her on-screen daughter, Kelly Thiebaud's Britt, to seek her mother's support on Friday, February 27. Andrew Hawkes resurfaces as Ross Cullum. The fraudulent WSB director questions Steve Burton's Jason on Tuesday, February 24. Nazneen Contractor reappears as District Attorney Justine Turner. She interacts with Dominic Zamprogna's Dante on Monday, February 23. Check out some fascinating facts about the GH actress. Viren Weaver pops in as Wiley Corinthos. The Tyke shares scenes with his TV mom, Caitlin McMullen's Willow, on Monday, February 23. How Anthony Geary helped define Maurice Benard's GH legacy. Maurice Benard recalls holding back true emotion in Luke and Sonny's final scenes, highlighting their kinship. General Hospital's Sonny and Luke were never neat buddies. They ran cons, established empires, argued over family, forgave what certainly should not have been forgiven, and continued circling back to each other regardless. On screen, it read as history. Off-screen, it became something different. In a recent interview, Maurice Benard reminisced on how Anthony Geary did more than portray Luke. He modified the path of Sonny's destiny and in the process, redefined Benard's own legacy on the program. Key takeaways: Maurice Benard claimed he and Anthony Geary maintained mutual respect from the outset. Geary persuaded Benard to emerge out of Luke's shadow, which resulted to Sonny obtaining a father and a defining romance. Benard confessed he could have quit GH if he had stayed a sidekick. He described Luke and Sonny as brothers, a kinship that affected Sonny's choices even after Luke's leave. The advice that changed everything. Benard spoke to Soap Opera Digest about his lengthy work with Geary, both in front of and behind the cameras. He stated, From day one until the day he left, Tony and I just always had this kind of mutual respect. That respect was not just pleasant. It was practical. Within his first year on the program, Bernard said Geary pulled him into his dressing room and asked whether he wanted to continue in Luke's shadow. "Listen, do you want to be the Tonto to my Lone Ranger?" he asked. The subtext was clear: sidekicks don't construct legacies, they circle them. Bernard heeded the advice, went to the then executive producer Wendy Reich and begged for more. The result: Sonny got a father in Mike Corbin and a romance with Brenda. He gained emotional weight. Bernard subsequently confessed that if he continued a sidekick, "I don't know what would have happened. I mean, I may have left." Brothers on screen, brothers in craft. Luke and Sonny fought, betrayed, protected, and reconciled. The show allowed them fracture and repair in cycles. Through it all, Bernard defined their interaction as deeper than business. He remarked, "They were kind of like brothers, whereas Sonny and Jason are more like uncle and nephew." That disparity mattered. It informed how Sonny moved after Luke departed Port Charles. It explains why he protected Laura. It affected the emotional temperature of their last dockside scenes in 2015, when Bernard choked back tears in times that were not planned as poignant. Geary retired and relocated to Amsterdam. The friendship remained in memory and affect. When GH airs its homage, Sonny will lament Luke, and Bernard will commemorate Geary. And the through line is simple: one actor spotted talent in another and urged him towards something larger. The rest followed. General Hospital Spoilers Weekly Update February 23rd to 27th. Maxie comes home, remembering Luke. Here's everything that occurred and everything that's coming up in Port Charles. General Hospital teasers for the week of February 23rd to 27th, 2026 suggest Port Charles getting back to the old buddy after recalling one of its legends. Key takeaways: Maxie reconnected with Nathan. Rick realized that Chase had Michael's keys. Laura requested Alexis to take Drew's position in Congress. Port Charles paid homage to Luke Spencer. Weekly recap episode 15897 airdate, Monday, February 16th, 2026. Felicia revealed it to Maxie that Nathan is alive, while Albrecht notified Nathan and Britt that Maxie woke up. Later, Britt requested Jason to meet at their hidden cabin. Spinelli spoke in Jason about his concerns that Maxie may leave him for Nathan. Michael and Jacinda and Rick and Elizabeth all went on Valentine's dates to the Hatchet Range. Sidwell brought out Ava and Lucy. Lucas and Marco fought about all Lucas knew. Episode 15898 airdate, Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. Laura asked Alexis if she would take Drew's position in Congress, while Sidwell offered to Willow that she take her husband's seat. Rick pondered about Ada Turner's link with Sonny. Lucas raged to Carly about what he overheard from Marco. Chase recommended the investigators examine Michael's keys, so Nathan arrived with a warrant. Episode 15899 airdate, Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Nina pushed Willow to assume Drew's place in office. Spinelli confessed in Brooke Lynn about the potential of Maxie selecting Nathan, and Brooke Lynn advised him not to go down without a fight. Nathan hesitated about whether he should go to Maxie's welcome home party, then he and Dante heard that Michael's keychain included a key to Drew's house. Lulu complained to Laura about her love for Nathan. Christina pushed Cody to complete Molly's book before making conclusions, while Molly and Suzanne encouraged Alexis to take Drew's seat. Episode 15900 airdate, Thursday, February 19th, 2026. Nathan summoned Michael in for interrogation, but when Wiley heard what was going on and indicated to Rick that Chase had his dad's keys, Rick contacted Ada Turner. Everyone welcomed Maxie home. Lulu reunited with Maxie. Later, when Maxie sought some air, she ran into Nathan. Alexis visited Drew to explain the situation before enabling Scout to meet him, and Drew attempted to blink Morse code at her, but she didn't comprehend. Episode 15900 airdate, Friday, February 20th, 2026. When Lulu uncovered an old photo of Luke, Tracy helped her grieve her dad by tipping off a bartender to have the brown dog all to themselves. Sonny discovered a poker chip he'd given Donna and reminisced about Luke with Carly. Laura was reminded of Luke and thanked him for the love of a lifetime. Everyone gathered at the dock to send lights into the river to memorialize Luke. Week ahead. Coming up in Port Charles, we'll see the aftermath of Michael being framed and Maxie and Nathan's reunion. Next week's breakdown. Episode 15901 airdate, Monday, February 23rd, 2026 Maxie is overwhelmed. Michael's rage flares. Dante makes a pledge. Alexis is doubtful. Gio and Jocelyn discuss Emma. Episode 15902 air date, Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. Sonny confides in Rick. Cullum questions Jason. Lulu is hesitant. Jordan issues a warning. Lucas receives crucial knowledge. Episode 15903 air date, Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. Britt and Jason examine their alternatives. Chase ponders a difficult option. Dante hunts out Elizabeth. Cody encourages Molly. Gio receives excellent news. Episode 15904 air date, Thursday, February 26th, 2026. Laura conducts a news conference. Isaiah visits Trina. Jason debriefs with Sonny. Sidwell plays hardball. Alexis is flung. Episode 15905 air date, Friday, February 27th, 2026. Willow makes a pledge. Albrecht begs Britt's aid. Lucy has some explaining to do. Laura holds back. Lucas needs answers.
Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe my channel without missing any update.